Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for coming. Welcome. Today we're going to talk about Fit, how to use it effectively, and why to use it at all. So, why do you need to use Fit or anything else like this, and what's in there for you personally? So these days, when we're talking about Agile, 90% of the time we're talking about Scrum. Scrum practices are great. Daily meetings, planning, storyboards, they all provide enormous visibility. Well, you cannot compare the visibility they provide with any of the waterfall methods. And using engineering practices adds a little bit of power to this process. So we'll see how can we apply acceptance test driven development. We will stop a little bit on what Fit is and how to use it. We'll see how Fit is better than some other tools. We'll take a look at a couple of ways to use Fit, and we'll see what suits you better, what is better anyways, and we'll see how Fit can benefit your design approaches. At the end, we'll shortly review Fit's do's and don'ts the way I see them. So my name is Aizikovsky. I'm a software professional. I've been working as developer, software architect, agile coach. You can reach me at my email at aizika@gmail.com. Now, who are you? Is anybody here who is not involved in software development? Excellent. We're all on the same board. So who would consider himself as a developer? Okay. Testers. Analysts. Consultants. Managers. Great. We have a pretty good representation. Now, what about your familiarity with Fit? Who use Fit on a regular basis? Who has ever written a Fit fixture? Okay. Who has heard of Fit but have never tried it? And to whom this session is the first introduction to Fit? Okay, so we have quite a few newbies, so we'll stop a little bit more on the details of Fit. Do you have any questions to me before we move on? No? Good. So once again, what is the importance of engineering practices for agile development? Having all the great tools that provide visibility and better management and better steering power that Scrum gives to a manager, we still see from time to time in a very well organized agile companies that stories that were assigned to an iteration move to another one, and then to the next, and to the next until they lost. And managers, despite all this visibility that they have and all this steering power that they obtain with Scrum, they cannot make the teams to meet their expectations. So it starts looking something like this. Yes, we do have a steering mechanism, but you need something else to get this vehicle moving. At least, something like this. You need to add wheels, you need to add engine, and then your vehicle is moving. To move your development vehicle, you need to pay attention to engineering practices. And to me, engineering practices is the heart of Agile. So by engineering practices, I mean all kinds of developers testing. So you know that tests can be done. Well, unit tests, first of all, this is kind of a must. Without unit tests, I don't know what Agile we're talking about. But there are other kinds of developer testing. Knowledge transfer and knowledge exchange that is achieved the best by pairing. This is another important engineering practices. Good design principles. Well, let's call them solid design principles. It's not per se something that Agile brought to the world, but this is something without which Agile cannot exist. So this is all the things that can drive you better in a more reliable way, and there are some tools that can help. As Linda mentioned a few minutes ago, there is no tool that can replace brain, and brain is not reliable either. So, anyways. Acceptance test-driven development. Quite a few people were talking about this, and it really makes sense to focus on testing before you start doing anything else. So let's take a look at the well-known diagram of development process. The feedback is very important, and depending on the length of the feedback, we classify development processes. If this feedback is a year, we call it waterfall. We don't like it. We know it doesn't work, and we don't even want to talk about it. If the feedback is 1 week long, then we call it Agile. We come to conferences, we listen to people, we try to understand how people can do it, how can they deliver feedback in 1 week chunks, and we applaud loudly. So this is one more very well-known picture. It shows the perspectives on different people at different stages of software development process. We're going to focus today on 3 of them. And basically, despite that there are 3 pictures, there are only 2 people involved into this piece of process. So this is what the customer needed. This is the way how customer explained it. So already a big difference. And the last one is how the developer understood it. So there is no tool that can help you to read minds of other people. But you need to understand it in order to do something that they will be using in their job. They will be happy about this, and they will, you will be happy about the job that you have done. So we are going to focus on the very first transitioning step in this process, moving from analysis to design. This is the one. As I said, there are a few tools that can help you about that. And one of them is fit. In order to understand why fit can be helpful, we will talk later about how can we use fit to get the help. But first, what is fit? So by the definition of coordinator of a fit project, well, I encourage everybody to go to fit.com, actually fit.c2.com, and read about fit. This is a very small website full of information. So coordinator of this project, James Shore. By the way, I didn't ask, do everybody hear me? Steve, you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. And you hear me. Good. Yeah. So fit is a tool. This is not me. I'm not doing it. The fit is a tool for enhancing communication and collaboration. And this is very important to understand because when you look at it, when you look at how people use it, this definition somehow evaporates and people start thinking about something totally different. So this is tool for enhancing communication and collaboration. So fit was invented by a guy who is so famous, was inventing so many very nice things. By Ward Cunningham, he invented Wiki, he invented extreme programming. He didn't write many books, but this is the name in the whole Agile. Later on, the ideas implemented in fit were no, thank you. Everybody is hearing this. It's okay. Thanks. Were expanded. Well, not ideas. The tooling was expanded by Rick Magritte, who created Fit Library. Together, they have written a book called Fit for Developing Software, and this is the Bible for any Fit developer from ever since. So now let's see how the Fit test. Well, I will be using the word test talking about Fit, but we know that this is not about testing. This is communication device. So this is the way Fit communicates its purpose. So this is a very simple example. It's a table. The first row of the table gives you a name of the class. So basically this table will be processed by a special class. This class will be written by developers. Just in case, let's look. This is the whole class. So it's not very complicated. I know that this is the column fixture, and column fixture works in a way that you provide few input data, and then you can expect few outputs. Inputs from outputs are different in a way that outputs have parentheses at the end of the names, and these are the expectations. You also can see that these two columns are gray, and these vary in color, providing a very dynamic picture. So basically, all the greens are correct, and all the reds are incorrect. Well, having the complexity of the system like this, plus returns x plus y, times returns multiplication, we expect it to work correctly. So I think that expectations are incorrect. Yes, 2 and 3 is actually 5, and we expected 10. But in more complicated cases, when you really want to expect something specific and your system delivers you something unexpected, this is the time when you start investigating and implementing your system. So this is an example of a fit document. And this is the implementation. So to finish, I don't know if this is enough information for those who have never heard of fit, but this is pretty much it. If you remove the fixtures and nice coloring, you can get a pen, go to whiteboard, and create a few tables that will express things that your customer wants you to do. So there are quite a few different fixtures that, question?
Yeah. I was going to ask that these fit tests are prepared by customer or developer or test engineer?
So the question was who writes down these tests? We'll get there in a minute. If you don't mind, I will not forget this question. So basic fixtures are column fixture and action fixture. They were developed by Word and they exist ever since. I'm not overly impressed with the names because we're talking about tables and here we have column fixture and row fixture, and it'll take you quite a while to understand what is the difference between them. And then Fit Library came with numerous fixtures. I will show here only my favorites, which I will need for the examples that we will be looking into. But you keep in mind that there are lots of them. And I want to give you a word of caution. If something exists, it does not necessarily mean that you should use it. Same goes for programming languages. If you know all the features of C++, please don't use them. Other people will be reading the documents. If you know design patterns, well, keep yourself in a limit. There are other illiterate, those other people, as Linda said, that are less educated than you are. So, stay simple. So, do fixture is a good thing because it helps you to organize a few tables into a single test case, which kind of, grasps a certain area. So, this is a very useful one. Setup fixture is my all-time favorite because this is the only one that tells you what it is doing. It sets up your tests. So this is a very good one. In the array fixture, we use to verify the results of the calculation, and I will show you how it is done.
Excuse me?
Sure.
What would be the distinction between a do fixture and an action fixture? They sound suspiciously the same.
They do. Action fixture, as you saw, is one of the basic fixtures. And basic fixtures work alone usually. They are, lonely Steppenwolfs. They do not work together. Do fixture extends a little bit the same approach that is used by action fixture and add much more to it. So basically, do fixture has many different features, and again, I try to keep myself within very limited scope of those features. So difference is that do fixture helps you to combine other fixtures into one test case. Action fixture works on a single table.
So it's a single test case unto itself.
That's right. Well,
sort of.
the thing is that original approach of, despite me repeating again and again, keep it simple, I think that we are all much more complicated than we should have been. And Ward didn't think in terms of combining many different tables into one test case. He was thinking that actually one table should be enough to provide information for the test case and also verify. So action fixture works alone. Do fixture combines many things together. Again, I would encourage you to look into the book or at least to start with the fit.com. Any more questions, please?
Just one more. You were talking about the features of a fixture. I'm completely ignorant of all this stuff. What would a feature of a fixture be other than it can be a member of a group or not?
Okay, the question is, what do you mean when you talk about features of a specific fixture? To answer this question, we need to acknowledge that the table we were looking at, let's get back to this table, is not the only kind of table that people use. This is my favorite, right? It has same number of columns in each row, well, except for the topmost one. It has the same number of rows in each column. This is a good one. But if you can create like some rows might have 6 cells, and others, let's say 3, and others 4, and so on and so on. And using this flexible format, you can write a poem using the fixture. And do fixture supports this format, and it helps you to provide endless possibilities to test your thing. That's the biggest difference. And all these features, well, again, you can use them, and I know cases when it's so useful. But if you can stay away and keep it in the usual table, you would be better off. Okay, let's move on. So why fit is better? It's a funny slide because better than what? Well, we're coming back to Isa's question about who writes the tables. So I was thinking of a tool, but actually there is no tool that can help you more than customer on-site. This is yet another extreme programming practice that I have rarely seen in real life. But I know that there are cases, and those cases are even better. Not customer on site, but developer in a company. So a company hires a developer. Well, usually it's an amateur programmer, or maybe even a guy who was working for the company, but then he found that it's not so difficult to write a program. And this guy starts writing programs to himself, to his peers. And these systems are the most useful, the fastest developed, and the most stable because they are supported all the time. They are limited. Usually, it's very difficult to create this way something that will work in the next office. But if you can create, it will work. And this is one of the cheapest ways to develop software. Happens really. We are all, well, maybe not all, we are in a standardized industrial software development. And we rarely can see a customer. Most of the time, we deal with business analysts, well, people who we call customer substitutes. Business analysts, testers, product managers, who will not be using your software. And if you're lucky to get a real customer, then Fit can help you. And that's where the Fit is better than many other tools. As I mentioned, whiteboard or a piece of paper and pencil can do this job even better. But Fit helps you to capture the things. And you cannot start with Fit without going to the whiteboard first anyways. You need to talk about something that you want to capture as a task. So the answer to this question, who writes the test, is you guys write it together. And if you don't do that, then you don't need Fit. You need something else. There are many tools outside that can help you capture requirements or create acceptance tests, and you don't need them, well, you need them if you don't have a customer. So, what is so good about Fit? Table is simple. This is the easiest form of presenting information to me. The easiest form to organize the information. And that's why spreadsheets are so successful. Like everybody has Excel, almost everybody has Excel installed on your machine, well, people who use Unix probably have open Office or something else. So people do use spreadsheets. People do know how to use tables. But what is more important is the way the communication is transferred from business experts to developers. This is the point where we develop ubiquitous language. So ubiquitous language is the idea that you have to use the same language in your software, writing your software, which is used by your clients, your customers, in their day-by-day job. And of course, there are no much technical details. Your customers don't even need to know that there are those fixtures with all the features and stuff. They just use it. Any questions so far? No questions.
How do the customers use it? You said they don't need to know any features, they just use it. How do they use it?
Us developers can help him to use those things. And the responsibility of a customer is to create a table. So basically, you create a table as a customer, right? And then, or I try to create a table as a developer. And then you, as a customer, will tell me, well, you know what, this is, we don't use this name, we use that name. And this is where the dialogue is happening. And that's when, this, all the communication is going on. And adding, fixtures and doing all the, this unimportant technical details is pretty simple thing. There's another danger actually. If your customer is so good with tables that he can dump on you hundreds of them weekly, then you're in trouble again. So you can implement all the tests that will, all the numbers will be right, but you will be developing wrong project. And it is going to bite you hard in a few weeks. Maybe in months. So communication. Communication, this is tool for communication. If I'm your customer, I will try to explain to you in the form of a table, if it is explainable in the form of the table, because some things are difficult to present as tables.
So let's assume that we don't have any connection to the direct customer, and we have VAs or project managers, who's the responsible guy. So as a developer, most of the time you are talking to them, right? And probably we will be creating all these tables by talking with them. But this is not going to be the actual ubiquitous language, for instance, or this is not going to be the real acceptance stance. So is there any way to avoid or something, at least on this step?
Well, the question is, what if we do not have a real customer and instead we talk to business analysts, we create tables by ourselves and we implement them then? Well, like if you have a choice, don't use Fit. I think it's so much easier for business analysts. Let's make a separation. A customer is a guy whose job is to do something totally outside of software development, but they do use software products. Everybody else, analyst, manager, tester, developer, they are all part of the development team. They should not be using anything other than solid development tools, and they can understand languages to the extent that help them to test it. So my answer to you would be, do not use it if you have a choice. In some cases you don't. Then let's look further and see how should use it. So basically, this is an illustration to the answer that I just gave to you. So basically, my favorite way of using Fit is to hook it directly into the main classes. So now we are moving to more kind of, development side of it. If anybody is not comfortable, raise your hand. We'll translate it into plain English. So this is, an architecture. I'm not afraid of this word. Of a system. So this system consists of database removed out of it. So we have domain. We have a facade that is used to communicate to the domain. And we have potentially multiple clients that use this facade to communicate to domain. So examples of those clients are user interface, web applications, web services, and so on and so on. But the point is that domain should be hidden behind facade. Fit fixtures hooks directly into domain classes and tests the domain classes themselves. So why is this important? Because this is domain. Look at this name. Domain is the place where we want to use the domain language. This is the place where we want to have domain-driven, not vice versa. What is vice versa? Nevertheless, so this is where we want all the knowledge, and we want our fit tests to drive our domain. So this is where very important to create those tables first, and then make sure that we have a few classes responding to the fit fixtures. And look at this sign. After you're done, just recycle it. I didn't talk about way this should be implemented. You should implement your classes. So basically, when you create a fixture, we probably will see it at the example. You should start your test-driven development, unit test-driven development. And this is the way to write software. And by the time your fit test becomes totally green, I expect you to have twice as much unit tests that cover all the possible cases, not only a few basic ones that were presented to you by the customer during this couple of hours conversation. You will definitely dig deeper into this and find something out. Now, let's assume that you do use fit for automated acceptance testing. When you don't have a choice and you have to keep your fit test, and somebody made this decision for you and you need to follow it, then it is very important to use fit as yet another client, to use standard interfaces, and to go through facade to the domain. Yes, we lose many benefits of fit. It's not as explicit, or it's not as explicitly driving our domain design as in the previous diagram, but at least it doesn't work as a straight jacket on your classes. Because if you try to combine the approaches and keep these guys who talk directly to the domain, it creates enormous shell around your classes. So right now we're talking about refactoring, right? We came to Agile conference. We know that, Martin Fowler is sitting in one of the next rooms. So we do refactoring. Fit tests cannot be refactored. This is HTML. This is very slow, very steady, and straitjacket is the right metaphor for these guys. So avoid this and use your fixtures as a facade. But yet again, if you have a choice, don't use fit for automated testing. Questions about this part? Steve?
When you say you don't use fit, what would you suggest as an alternative? What are you using for fit?
I'm not using anything, but right now I'm on a very small project that does not require any extensive acceptance testing. But there are many alternatives around. There are dedicated to acceptance testing tools like Watir, like Selenium that tests through the user interface. There are, this is definitely not one of the areas of my competence to compare those tools, but I have big experience, long experience with Fit, and I know how painful it's going to be if you start using it as a tool for automated testing.
It's been my experience that just about any automated tool, acceptance testing tool is painful.
That's a good point. I heard a presentation at the recent Agile conference called Integration Tests Are Scam. And the point the guy was making, it was J.B. Reinsberger. The point he was making was that, well, if you try to test everything in all the possible combinations, then you soon meet the combinatorial explosion of cases which cannot be supported. And when you add a new feature with 10 possible outcomes, you immediately have to multiply all of your test cases by 10. So this exponential explosion will kill you and your system. This is a very good question, and I think this is my opinion, supported by good experience with well-tested, with well-unit tested systems, but not so well-tested the acceptance tests. Not well-tested by acceptance tests. Usually they are very stable. So my idea is that you need to use unit testing as much as possible, and when you discover something that doesn't fit your integration, then create a test which is focused not on testing everything in one run, but instead in testing a very specific connection between different subsystems. Does it answer your question, Steve? Thank you. Yeah, I probably don't have all the questions. Yes?
I have a different question that's maybe, I've been trying to figure out where this fits, and maybe this would help. What's your definition of acceptance testing?
Let's separate integration and acceptance tests into two groups. And I would say that acceptance test is something that verifies that your system produces correct answers to questions. For instance, the system that we were testing using this table is the acceptance test is that 2 plus 3 must be 5. This is an acceptance test. Integration test is when you add a user interface on top of this, or better yet, you add a web service that will provide you these calculating possibilities. And then you build a client, web client, that will provide you access to the system. And then you want to make sure that when you type something on your web page, you will get the correct results. So acceptance test is this. Integration test is the other one. When you type something over there, then it goes through the wire to our web service, which will produce this well-known and reliable results, and then you test it back. So is this close to your definition of...
Not at all, no. My definition of acceptance test would be when the end user of the system tests the system to measure whether or not it's acceptable to them as a solution that's a different thing. What you seem to be talking about is what I would probably call a system test,
Uh-huh.
something like that. And that's fine, and then that helps them understand.
Terminology. Okay, so would you consider the answer that I gave about this, web server that goes to this thing as an example of a more broad definition that you just gave?
It could be part of a complete set of acceptance tests. It could be one piece of it, but it's not acceptance test as a whole, and that helps me understand where it fits into the picture.
Good. Point taken. So basically, let me repeat it loud, because I think it's very important. The gentleman at the back said that acceptance test is something that helps your end user to make a decision whether the system is acceptable or not acceptable. Well, certainly Fit is not a tool that can answer this question for your customer.
So when you back to the one slide or two slides, you mentioned that when the customer are on site, the fixture will try to test the domain, but when the customer are not on site, it will use the facade to test the domain. Could you explain a little bit more about that? The difference between these two slides.
The difference between these two slides is when we don't keep fit tests forever and discard them as soon as we're done with the implementation. Versus on this picture, we tend to keep those fit tests, well, acceptance tests, sorry, fit tests as part of your automated testing suite.
It's just a difference on how you use it.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. And my suggestion is, if you tend to use them forever, then make sure that they are not tightly coupled with your critical domain clauses.
Can you go back to the same picture?
Sure.
One back, yeah. Here, when we talked about fixtures, on practice, would you apply it only to a very small subset of your domain, which has a very complex, logic, so your customer can actually verify that small subset of domain? For example, for financial application, could be calculating all those rates and margins and thing, where a business analyst can say, oh, if there's a currency with, there's forward rate, and that margin, the result should be something like that. You will not try to do 100% coverage. You will just try to cover only some very specific pieces of your domain with sort of very complex business logic. Or would you try to go for a 60, 50, 40% of coverage in your domain?
The question is about, do we measure coverage of fit tests or do we use our judgment to decide when to use them? I would give you a philosophical answer to this question. Use your judgment always. And of course I wouldn't, right, you know what, when you start talking about something with your customer, you cannot imagine how complex is this. It's, when you're talking and when you're looking at those tables and we decide, this is something that I can do in 2 minutes and show the result to my customer, why should I bother with any tables at all? If this will require application of complex rules and stuff like that, yes, use it. So I'm repeating exactly the approach that you said, and I think this is the correct approach. You shouldn't tend to cover 100% of your cases with fit tests. It should help you to communicate with the customer, not to provide coverage or something.
Yeah, so what probably I meant to ask, that your unit test coverage will be significantly broader than fixture coverage. So unit test, there are some religious people who will do 100%, there are some less religious people who will do like 50%. But unit test system should cover almost the whole domain. You should have a very broad representation of your testing. With fixture, you may cover only like 5% or 10%, something very interesting and that, you know.
Yeah, I've never measured the coverage of fit tests, but I tend to agree with you, yes. The question again was how you compare the coverage of unit tests with coverage of fit tests. Well, coverage is a wrong measure for fit tests, and it is a good measure for unit tests. Tend to raise your coverage in unit tests, but it's better if you do it upfront using TVD. Yes, Steve.
Alex, I think this whole conversation is taking us to a very dangerous place about user-driven acceptance testing, user-created tests. There's a reason we have test engineers. Test engineers know how to get coverage. We cannot confuse coverage with simply the number of tests. There's an entire testing theory, how to do the spanning test, boundary testing, what needs to be covered. But just assuming that we have a large number of tests does not give us any guarantee of proper test coverage. And that, I think, is one of the risks. It's not a risk associated with fit or unit tests or acceptance in general. It's the risk we have when people who are not trained to be tested try to create tests.
Right. First of all, I don't think it's a dangerous place. I think it's an interesting place to be. Well, I don't know if everybody heard what Steve said, but he's saying that we are getting into the area where we try to let tools to decide, tools or measures to decide what can be decided only by humans, whether this is acceptable or not, back to the comment that was made by the gentleman. So I totally agree with you. But measure of, again, unit test, 100%, 50%, it should cover, well, unit test is a development tool, right? Despite the fact that we're using test in the definition of this term, please consider it something differently. Right now, there is, fashionable way of behavior-driven development, and people try to define behaviors rather than tests. This is more suitable, maybe, and removes, this ambiguity about tests or not tests. But still, unit tests, they do prove how good, how well your system is built. It doesn't prove you whether the system does things that your customer wants it to do, but it proves that it is made out of good quality parts. And this decision of how good these parts is totally my developer's decision, not testers. Because testers rarely can see deep inside construction of a class. I'm not arguing with you. I'm in agreement with you. Okay. Any more questions regarding these pictures? I didn't expect them to raise. Yes, please.
Can you explain a little bit the difference between acceptance test and fixtures? What's the difference between the two?
Well, I've just been pointed to a certain mistake about using the term acceptance test in this context. So basically, what I meant by fit tests in this case was like, again, we can calculate 2 plus 2, and we can predict that it should be equal to 4. So this is an acceptance test. And if our system, in some part of it, is doing this correctly, then this part works correctly. Does it satisfy customer needs? Well, we don't know. So I would replace now the word acceptance with the word automated test integration test suite.
So you're saying that that one would be an automated test and that fixtures, it's not automated or?
Yep, that's what I'm saying.
So this one is not automated, the fit.
You can automate fit tests. You can. I'm trying to make a point that it doesn't, it's not worth it. You shouldn't do this. You should use other tools to automate the tests. And if you need fit, you'd better use it as a communication tool to your customer to figure out what do you need to do.
So this fit is actually not a way of testing.
It's a way of defining what your system needs.
So we don't use it for this.
Well, you can use it.
But this is not meant to be.
I wouldn't recommend you, but other people would, maybe.
Okay.
How about that? So it depends. But if you think of starting your automated test suite, well, you probably can find
No,
better.
I just want to understand, so what's the point of all this fit we are talking about?
Well, see, some people, we have a broad audience over here, and I know that some people use Fit for automated testing, right? And they need to do this because this is company's policy and they're using it. Other people came here to know, maybe Fit can help them. And for them, I would say that this is how you use them. Forget about acceptance tests if they confuse you. So Fit is a good way to discover what your customer wants. Actually, not to discover. To discover what he wants, you need to talk to him, but it's a good way to capture your understanding and then make sure that you implement the system according to this understanding that you get out of conversation. Does it make sense?
Starting.
Could you sort of draw a parallel between, having Fit sort of drive in your domain and sort of general ubiquitous language, if you will, and other concerns that the customer should be made aware of, and using unit tests to drive the design and not be a safety net?
Well, design is a big word, right? So basically, when we draw this picture, it's already design. When you decide how you organize your classes, how you name your classes, and how you move responsibilities among the classes, this is design. And I like test-driven design, unit test-driven design, but I also know that it can bring you to a chaotic, unstructured, amorphic system without high-level vision. I've seen that. So, yep, you are right, and this lady is also right.
I did not say anything to be right, I was just asking.
I think you expressed doubts in the way that Fit should be
So,
used.
FIT stands for Framework for Integration Testing,
That's
right?
correct.
So it is a testing. We perform tests based on it. It is just a table, right? Did I
Exactly.
have the right understanding?
Yep.
Okay, so we have a table, and this table is meant for communication and for performing tests on it. Yes, no?
Well, you know what, if there's a word test in it, I believe that FIT is a very good acronym. right? It's short, it's explicit, and you can use it as abbreviation. So test comes to the fit naturally, but I kind of doubt that you should focus on fit or on framework or on integration. The best definition that I've seen was that this is a tool for communication, and there is no good abbreviation for that. So yes, you can test it. Test using fit, but this is not what it should be used for.
I think the requirements, right? Then you can describe the class requirement, and you can use that to write your unit test.
That's right.
Yep. If there is extra things that we can't express, but that you know need to be added to unit test, then you would add that as well, but it would be part of it. Because that is over and above, right?
Yep.
To express.
Yep, that's a very good point. Did everybody hear this gentleman? Okay. Well, let's take a look at the user story. User story is the customer sees subtotal, tags, and total of shopping cart content. And we're going to first look at how it looks when we're testing this thing through facade. So first, we need to set up a test environment where we will create tags categories. We will add a few records to the catalog. Then we run the execution and add a few items to the shopping cart. And finally, at verification stage, we'll see the summary. Here, I would like to switch to Eclipse and look at the fixture. At the fit test. So here we have an example of using the do fixture. So basically this checkout fixture is inherited from do fixture, and it allows us to combine everything else underneath this umbrella. So first thing, we set up our environment. We say that books are, GST is applied to books and to audio CDs, but PST is applicable only to CDs and not to the books. Then we create a few items in the catalog, and finally we put some of those items to the shopping cart. And as a result, we want to see the correct calculation of the summary. So we can run this test, and we can see the result. So all these setup fixtures obviously have been executed, and but the results that we expect were not, because this is the very beginning of our development, and all we have is unsatisfied expectations. This is the place where you should start doing your TDD and using unit tests to drive your development towards satisfying this test. So this is the way the fit test looks like and how it runs. speaking of the balance between unit tests and fit tests, I think that this metaphor will give you a sense of how well-tested, unit-tested systems are different from well-tested, well-acceptance-tested systems. So basically, both of these cars will drive or may drive, but you know that the left one is much more reliable because every single part of it is much more reliable. And you may expect, it doesn't always happen, but you may expect that the left one will require fewer visits to mechanic. So speaking of the example of our example fit test, what happens if we decide to expand our business to Alberta? In Alberta, there is no PST applicable to any sales. So in our setup, we would have added a new point. We should have specified delivery address, and then based on this delivery address, we would calculate a different tax. So soon, if you use this approach, soon your setup becomes so complicated. And here we're talking about back to the pictures we were looking at. When you use it through facade, your setup becomes a special scenario. And you start using those scenarios to set up your test cases. And then they start contradicting to each other. And then you're getting into a mess, which I agree with somebody who said it, is common to all the automated integration tests. And it gives one more vote to the way of using fit in the localized domain, at the localized domain level. Any questions about this brief introduction to, I don't know, practice of fit? Yes, please.
So would you say that fit is more like the black box testing from the user's point of view, where they don't care or understand how it's developed, or acceptance test-driven ATDD is more of a white box testing where the people that are running the test know how it's developed inside, and they do the unit testings with the knowledge of what's underneath?
I think, well, the question is whether fit and acceptance test-driven development are looking into
like black boxes. You can't
black
see.
box.
You can't see. You don't care. You don't know how it's developed underneath. You just need to have the right, put the right inputs in. You want to test the outputs. Whereas a white box test is except ATDD. Well, you know how it's what's underneath, and you know how it was written. So you're unit testing and you're testing the actual mechanisms that were the architecture underneath.
Right. So the balance between black box testing and white box testing in case of fit. Well, we started with the with looking at the part of the development process where the fit is involved. It is involved somewhere between analysis and design. So from the perspective of a customer, of course it is black. The customer never cares how the hell you're implementing this, right? It's just, it should work this way. But at the same time, because you're talking to a customer and you are using the same language, and you as a developer or as a part of a developer team, of a development team, you're trying to understand how it's going to look like. At the same moment, you start thinking of how you're going to implement this. Yes, it is black box testing, and yes, it gives you some hints of how the system should be designed in order to satisfy, well, black box user needs. sense? Okay, so fit for automating testing. Tables are not always good. If you have a tree structure and you want to test results of your tests, you're going to be in trouble. It's very bad representation for hierarchical structures. Fit is weak for this. It's an HTML. I don't know if there are many fans of HTML over here, but usually in development team there are a couple of experts out of 50 developers, and nobody likes to play with HTML. Modern tools, all of them allow you refactoring everything except fit. So as I said, fit becomes a straitjacket on the system. You can use JUnit or other XUnit tools if you are in different technology, and you can use it for the same purpose. Despite the word unit in the name of XUnit tools, it's to be used for other things. It's just your responsibility to separate very well your unit tests from your integration tests. But this is, my subjective comparison. So refactoring is not available. Flexibility of fit is weak. Speed, well, we didn't mention it. And yes, it is easier to learn than JUnit, especially for people who are not developers and who do not deal with code on daily basis. But I've seen testers who are very quick in learning JUnit. So what do you need to use fit for? Description, explanation, elaboration, demonstration, and confirmation. It's taken from a blog post of Michael Bolton, who is a good tester. And I absolutely agree with this definition. And of course, do not use fit if there is no customer and for test automation. And keep it simple and use your judgment. Any questions?
Not question, but I want to add a couple more benefits of using fit. That
Yes.
One thing that, at least in our development environment, newcomers, if they go through with the fit, they are learning the product very fast. So that's one thing. By looking at JUnit code, trying to understand which service calling, what database calls, whatever, it's so complicated. It needs mentoring. It needs someone to coach that guy, or at least pairing. But by looking at the fit, he's getting the ubiquitous language very fast, and he's learning the product really fast, I would say.
Well, the point that has been made here is that fit test is much easier to understand for a newcomer. So if a new person comes to your team, it's easy for him to understand what is going on, how the system works, and you cannot compare this easiness with any of the JUnit tools. Thank you for the comment. Steve?
So I got a question for you. I've seen a lot of people advocating the use of fit and fit tables as a substitute for requirements. I just was curious about what your opinion on that is.
Well,
The test itself becomes the requirement.
right. A few years ago, I was a very extreme programmer, and I wouldn't consider writing any requirements at all. I was thinking that this is a waste of time. To a big extent, I still think this way. But I don't know, if you deliver every week then your customer very soon knows what to expect and how it works. And I know big systems that are built this way. There are no requirements written. It's all implemented. One of the examples is Gmail or Google Maps. Like, requirements do not exist longer than a week, and you can see that it's changing all the time. Bugs are coming and they're going. New features are coming, and sometimes, they stay. And it's possible to do it this way. I don't know. I'm not ready to answer what is the good tool to capture requirements. To capture requirements on a very short period of time when you are going to implement them, yes, Fit is very good for that.
How Fit progresses over years? When you sort of worked with Fit in Custom House like 4 years ago and comparing with Fit today, was it a lot of development for Fit tool, or is it pretty much the same?
There was quite some development that we get out of this English construct that I'm not familiar with. So, first of all, Fit library didn't exist at that time, and this is a big step forward. Also, fitness. I don't know if anybody heard of fitness. This is a very popular tool which kind of works similar to Fit. It uses a little bit different syntax, but the idea is still the same. It is under permanent development, and basically fitness now is more popular than Fit. I personally like Fit better because you can keep your Fit test in your code repository along with your code, and you can use different versions. It's not the same as fitness, but fitness is very popular. And actually, Rick Madrich, who wrote the Fit library, right now works very closely with the fitness team, and they develop their product together, and it's basically most of the time is fitness oriented. And I know that many people use it for all the different things, not only for communication, as was focus of my presentation, but also for automated testing. I haven't seen a developer who was happy about this. There are lots of positive responses from people who are involved into this at a different level, consultants, managers, but I'd love to talk with the developer who likes Fit integration tests. More questions? No questions. Thank you very much for coming.